My mother didn't lower her voice. She didn't have to. The family mistake, she said, swirling her wine like it was a joke she'd told before. Her friends laughed. Glasses clinked. Someone asked if I could pass the bread. I stood there with flour on my hands, heat crawling up my neck, the room shrinking around me. Then my father looked up from his chair, pointed at me with the lazy precision of a man who'd never missed a target, and said, "She's the 1%. Every family has one." The room laughed again. I remember the hum of the refrigerator, the smell of roasted chicken, the exact moment my chest went hollow, like someone had scooped me out and left the shell standing. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I set the bread down, I wiped my hands on my jeans, I walked to my room, zipped my backpack, counted $42 from a jar I'd been saving for textbooks, and stepped out into the night. No one followed me. That was the moment I learned silence could be louder than screaming, and that some doors only open once on the way out. Before that night, I believed in loyalty the way some people believe in gravity. I assumed it was always there, holding you up whether you noticed or not. I was the daughter who did everything right, straight A's, babysitting my brother, cleaning up after dinner without being asked. I learned early that approval was a currency, and I spent myself freely. My parents liked to say they were brutally honest. What they meant was careless. What they practiced was erosion. Every success I had came with a qualifier. Every failure became a personality trait. I paid my own application fees. I worked double shifts at a diner that smelled like burnt coffee and regret. When I got into college on partial scholarship, my mother told her friends I was lucky. When I asked for help with tuition, my father asked what return they'd get on the investment. Gratitude apparently had interest. By 17, I had learned how to disappear in plain sight, how to fold myself smaller at the table, how to smile when my name was used as punctuation for a joke. I still believed, stupidly, that if I stayed long enough, proved enough, they'd see me. They saw me, they just didn't value what they saw. That dinner wasn't the first insult, it was the last one that landed. There's a difference between pain and clarity. Pain blurs, clarity sharpens. When my father pointed at me, something precise snapped into place. Not anger, not sadness, certainty. I was never going to be anything but a punchline in that room. I watched my mother's friends, women I'd known since childhood, avoid my eyes as they laughed. I realized humiliation isn't loud. It's polite. It wears perfume. It asks you to pass the bread. That was the exact moment my loyalty died. Not with fireworks, with a quiet click, like a lock turning. I didn't announce my exit. I didn't threaten. I didn't ask for forgiveness or permission. I left. That night I slept on a bus bench with my backpack under my head and my future folded inside me like a map I hadn't learned to read yet. Silence became my weapon. I didn't call, I didn't write, I didn't post vague messages online. I worked, I studied, I learned the language of contracts and credit scores. I learned how to listen more than I spoke, how to let people underestimate me. It saved time. Every failure was data. Every success was quiet. I built my life like a ledger, clean lines, no emotional debt. And all the while, I watched from a distance as my parents kept living like consequences were for other people. Revenge didn't arrive as rage, it arrived as opportunity. By 23, I was stable. By 24, comfortable. By 25, I was untouchable in ways that mattered. I didn't take from them, I didn't sabotage, I simply stopped absorbing their damage. When my parents refinanced their house, they used my name as a reference without asking. When a business deal went bad, my father listed me as an emergency contact. When creditors called, I let them ring, legally, cleanly, methodically. I corrected nothing. I had learned something important. People who use you assume you'll always be there to be used. I let that assumption collapse under its own weight. They showed up 8 years after I left. I knew it was them before I opened the door. Some instincts never fade. My mother's mascara had run. My father looked smaller, older. The space between them felt crowded with things they'd never said. They cried, they apologized, they said words like family and misunderstanding, and we didn't mean it like that. I listened. That was my final move. When they asked if we could talk, I told them the truth, calmly, clearly, without cruelty. I listened for 17 years, I said. This is what silence sounds like. My father reached for my arm. I stepped back. They left the way I had, without ceremony. This time, I closed the door. People think revenge has to be loud to be satisfying. They're wrong. The most powerful justice is living so well that the people who tried to break you no longer have access to the story. I don't hate my parents. Hate keeps a door open. I chose something cleaner. I chose peace with boundaries. I chose memory without control. I chose myself. And if there's a lesson in all of it, it's this: never confuse proximity with loyalty, and never underestimate what someone can build once they stop begging to belong.